Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. Your ghost host with the most, Jacob Weil here.
And Blue Dragon 5, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So, light the jack-o'-lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection. Alien. All right, yeah. So, folks, tonight we are celebrating the anniversary of one of the, and what is widely considered to be one of the greatest horror movies of all time, and none other than Alien, the 45th anniversary. So, Dragon, where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, this was your idea, so why don't you start us off?
Okay. You mean like my background with it and everything? Then,
Yeah, Jacob, how you feel about it? And just anything you want to say about it? Yeah.
well, as Dragon pointed out, this was my idea. I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise. I mean, admittedly, mainly the first and second movie, but I do enjoy pretty much every installment that there are. I mean, even Alien 3 has and 4 have their redeeming qualities, I'll say, but definitely the first and second one, which hopefully we'll be going over soon as well. but I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of this. I'm always a big fan of space, and I usually don't get into do horror that much, but obviously this movie has quite the pedigree behind it, and I checked out and I loved it. Like the isolation nature. Well, a little bit of a reference there, but the isolated nature of it, just the fact that it's just even if it is pretty much like a haunted house in space kind of thing, it just pulls itself together so well, and even watching it and knowing what's going to happen, it can still catch you by surprise. This movie definitely has a staying power, unlike a lot of other horror movies, even horror movies that are made today. So, and there's a reason why this movie's lasted so long and is still celebrated even to this very day. I personally really enjoyed rewatching it, and I still found it quite creepy and scary at times. Even, like I said, knowing what was going to happen. Everything comes together very well. Obviously, the design work by H.R. Giger is unparalleled when it comes to the alien itself. Could definitely create one of the most terrifying monsters in cinema history there. And of course, all the actors, especially Sigourney Weaver, knocked it out of the park with their performances here, creating one electrifying experience. Dragon?
So clearly, a landmark in film, like the scary alien movie
Literally.
beyond compare.
Literally.
Well, yeah. Honestly, my exposure to Alien was really through pop culture osmosis. Since Toy Story, with all like kind of the gags and reference to Alien, with whack an alien and the alien slime slurpy thing.
Buzz looking alien!
Anyway, but when they went to Pizza Planet, you had like whack an alien and everything. Where it's basically like the little chest burster coming out as the whack a mole thing, which is still priceless.
What do you think the alien slime tasted like?
Well, we keep doing free promotion for them, but the People versus Food channel they recreated the alien slime.
Oh no.
They recreated the alien slime and the pizza from Pizza Planet. So
I think they should really sponsor us one of these days.
dear God, I'd love it if they did that.
all right, but going back to your personal history with Alien.
Anyway, so yeah, I think my proper exposure to it was the Great Movie Ride. When you have that section of the Great Movie Ride where you're basically in the first Alien movie.
Now, did you ever go on like the extraterrestrial alien encounter.
No, not when it was terrorist. I went when it was Stitch's Great Escape, though.
Another alien, technically.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The bones of the ride's still there, only it's a lot less scary and more kid friendly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I've had an appreciation for the making of this movie. I want to say that I definitely an interest in that and a little bit of aliens as well with the whole making of. But yeah, I never really watched this from start to finish. So this was this was because again I avoid horror movies. That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
I love the making of horror movies, but there's a lot I'm kind of blind to like in terms of, like sitting down start to finish.
Yeah, you don't really do a lot of horror in general.
No, that's the only horror comedy in the making of horror. Those are usually my exceptions. So
I mean, Little Blue corroborates that that's some kid's first exposure. That would definitely have been the Great Movie Ride.
oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, that movie is kind of the odd one out when it comes to the Great Movie Ride. Like, I mean, obviously it's talking about classics, but it's really the only like horror one that they touch. One of the few horror ones they actually touch upon.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's definitely worth its notoriety. It's definitely earned it.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, so watching this movie finally after kind of knowing, but again, I knew the story of Alien. I know what happens in Alien essentially, but in terms of watching it fully, it earned its flowers, my friend. It's expertly shot. It's definitely the big feather in Ridley Scott's cap, as far as I'm concerned. It's pretty impressive.
Has this actually your first time ever seeing it? Like,
Well, I
fully?
mean, fully yes. I mean, again, I think we've all seen at least part of the at least some version of the chest burster scene. We know what happens. We know what happens, and we've seen parodies of it. We've seen like the again, I've seen it talked about in God knows how many documentaries and stuff. So I mean, I'm familiar with the core beats of it, but again, just in fully just watching it. Like for example, the Ash scene was that was the new part for me, like seeing the Ash scene fully happen.
Oh,
But,
oh yeah, that's arguably as terrifying as the aliens.
that's the thing. So that was that was disturbing, and we'll get there.
Yeah, like the thing is, like you said, this put the feather in Ridley Scott's cap. Like it definitely got him noticed. If anything, like
Yeah.
obviously he's achieved still massive success since then with a
Well,
lot of
no,
other.
yeah, he just became the household name with Alien. That's when he could write his own. He could write his own ticket.
Oh yeah, like I mean, think about it. This is the guy who went on to make by several acclaimed movies like Gladiator, and not to mention Blade Runner.
Yep.
So let's face it, this definitely did get like a lot of people notice, and not to mention Sigourney Weaver as well.
Yeah.
So there, I mean, that she definitely is able to write her own ticket after this one too.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
No, I love Sigourney Weaver, so I do agree with that. Yes.
I mean, she's been in so many other things, and who knows how it would have gone if she never was Ripley.
She's so underrated in the movie Dave.
It's like, and like I still think one of her other best performances is, funny enough, Holes.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's what I'm saying. She never misses. Sigourney Weaver's wonderful. Plus, she's in Paul.
Oh yeah, that makes sense too.
And kind of her paired with an alien yet again.
Except that one's not trying to kill her.
Yep.
But like I said, Holes is definitely one of her more underrated performances, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic movie, by the way.
Yep. Cactus Kate. Is it Cactus Kate or it's something Kate?
And it's something along those lines.
Anyway.
Like, Little Blues, like, let's not forget Alien changed the way we look at sci-fi horror. Like, as I said in the description of this video, it basically codified modern sci-fi horror. I think what makes Alien such a classic movie is how the characters are portrayed as hardworking people, because if you watch things like Star Trek or even Forbidden, they are on a mission. Good morning, Nostromo, says movie guy. You ever see that movie with that Dark Star was John Carpenter's movie debut?
I was familiar with that in terms of the background, which we'll get into in a hot second here.
Yep, so that makes a good segue. So background then, Dragon.
A little bit of background to how we get Alien. So Dan O'Bannon was basically this sci-fi writer. He was a true blue like sci-fi kid growing up, smart, very steeped in it. Like his father faked a UFO sighting, which was kind of like a thing. He had a fear of bugs, specifically the cicada, which is creepy as all get out if you've ever seen one.
I mean, Dragon, I live in Ohio.
Good for
there,
you.
there are cicadas all over the place.
See, that's the context we needed.
It's kind of implied, but all
Yeah.
right. And some of them that come every once like 7 years or something like that.
I heard it was 17.
17 years, yeah, but and they're loud.
Well, yeah, and also scary beyond reason if they land on your shoulder.
Yes, and yeah, so
See,
obviously
I don't like insects that fly. That's my thing. So cicadas, definitely, I sympathize.
I once got stung 3 times by a bee, by 3 different bees at a fair once on my
Okay,
back.
can we change the subject before? We're already talking about a scary movie. I don't need your horror stories piled on.
All right. Give us the more of the background.
Okay, the point being, this kind of presented the idea of like the long dormant evolving monster idea. So that's kind of where the seeds of that were. Anyway, so he and John Carpenter did a movie called Dark Star, which basically is Alien as a comedy to shorthand it.
Yep.
And it's basically the alien in question is very low budget. It's essentially a beach ball with feet. So basically the most boring version of Mike Wazowski ever. Anyway, so Dan O'Bannon, he basically he was determined to tell this story as a horror, as a kind of a horror thriller of sorts. And of course, you have John Carpenter saying, "You're crazy, horror. There's no future in horror. I'm gonna make a movie named after a comedian." No kidding. It's not remotely what happened, but
and, yeah, and like it's like and John Carpenter only went on to make a little movie called Halloween.
yeah,
and also this thing called The Thing.
yeah. The doodad, the whatchamacallit, he went through all those titles before he landed on The Thing.
Yes.
Because he loved Marvel. That's why he called it The Thing. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so
obviously the real reason is a remake of The Thing from Another World.
Yep.
Which, funny enough, was referenced in Halloween.
Yes. All right. So, point being, O'Bannon, he basically writes out the first 30 pages, and then he meets Ron Shusett, and the two of them really kind of shape Alien into what it ultimately is. Basically, Act One is firmly down. Act One is very much what you see in the finished product of the movie. And Ron Schuster, I want to say, added the whole face hugger angle.
All right.
I want to say. Anyway, so originally the movie was actually called Memory because there was an aspect of it where the longer you were on the alien world, you kind of forgot your mission. They kind of abandoned that part of it, but that's why the movie's originally called Memory. Then there was like Star Beast, and there was all sorts of other titles, but
nobody wanted Star Beast.
Yeah, no one wants Star Beast.
And I do actually know the story behind this, how it got its official title.
Yeah,
they're like agonizing trying to find the right title, but they kept looking over the script, but like one word kept sticking out to them: Alien.
And fun fact, up to that point in time, no movie had just been called Alien.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the movie just became both an adjective and a noun at the same time.
Yep, and then the next movie had the very creative title,
Aliens.
And add an S.
I mean, to be fair, it works as a title. It sounds more interesting than just Alien 2.
You know what the next Alien movie is going to be called, don't you?
Aliens is?
No.
Alien 3?
No, Alien Plus. You know where it's going to premiere?
Disney Plus.
There you go. That's what they're calling the streaming series for Alien.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the new Alien Romulus movie actually was originally going to be on Hulu before they decided to make it theatrical.
Huh.
And they actually are making a series for FX.
Well, we know what they're going to call it now.
Yeah, it's called like Alien Earth or something like that.
Well, that's lamer than Alien Plus, but okay.
But yeah.
All right, let's see. So they almost took it to Roger Corman, and Roger, of course, now the dearly departed Roger Corman. But Roger Corman, being the wonderful man that he was, he said, "Well, look, guys, if I do this, it's going to be a B movie. I think you really have something here. You should try taking it to the other studios first, and if they say no, then I'll do it for you. But give it a shot. Shop it around a little." And that was really good advice from Corman there. He backed him without turning him down. He said, "Look, guys, I'll back your play, but I really think you have it in you that this could get made some elsewhere, by the big leagues."
And so eventually it lands at Fox.
Yes, and Fox, basically they've been shopping around and pitching as it's Jaws in space. That was
and
the big sell line.
And they also kind of wanted like something to replicate Star Wars as well.
Well, that's what it got at the green light. So the conceit was, basically it got greenlit because Star Wars was such a mega hit, and they had no other sci-fi movies like on their plates. Like, this is like the only space-related thing we have. Let's do it. Okay, we're desperate for space right now. It's the cash cow. Let's do it.
Well, the funny thing is, technically, because they didn't keep the rights to Star Wars because they didn't think it was going to be successful.
Yep, we gave it all to George.
Yep, it's like they're like, well, yeah, he can keep the merchandising rights.
Yep,
and the rights to the series as long as we keep the movie, and then obviously the rest is history.
So pretty much O'Bannon and Shushet, they basically they shaped the rest of the movie. However, there was an issue. The studio brought on writers who were not sci-fi guys to kind of take a pass at it, and the word on the street is it's not official. It's never been official or not, but the story, the way it goes, that O'Bannon, he walked in and he's kind of saw the script there, which basically said screenplay by so and so, and then it's just based on screenplay by O'Bannon and Ron Shusett. And
it's not Shusett, it's just Shusett.
Wait, what did I say? I keep getting it wrong right now. I don't know what
it's Shusett.
Yeah, so Shusett.
Yeah, you said Shusett, like with two H's.
All right. I don't know where the second H came from, but okay.
Well, there you go.
All right. Anyway, that guy.
Yeah.
Basically implying that they were going to say, okay, these guys, basically the main writer's name, they wouldn't get the final credit, but the Writers Guild of America saved them on that one. That's at least the way O'Bannon tells it. So it all worked out. There was a lot of concern, a lot of tension over the writing there because it was their baby, and they very much wanted to see it their way. And the one thing these studio writers did add was Ash the robot. Ash the android, but yeah, they added him.
Which apparently Dan O'Bannon was fine with, but Shusett wasn't.
Yeah. All right, so a big X factor in getting the movie, basically the key to the whole film was H.R. Giger. I know, H.R. Giger. Anyway, so they were working on the Abandoned Dune movie, which has a documentary of its own, Jodorowsky's Dune. And, he basically is working on that film, and while Bannon was kind of like helping out with that film before it went belly up, he was introduced to Mobius and Giger.
Mm-hmm.
And Giger's work essentially was very, was very ahead of its time. It was very interesting. Is that you see, Giger had a fascination with ancient Egypt. He had a lot of Egyptian kind of emphasis in his work because as a kid he basically saw like a mummy, an unwrapped mummy. It always stuck with him. So that's where you get essentially if you ever see the xenomorph, you kind of see the black skeletal kind of look. That's basically coming from seeing the black remains, like the black skeleton underneath the mummy.
And not to mention his frequent nightmares.
Well, that's the thing. So he was traumatized by it, and he had nightmares about it. So I'm saying that's where the genesis of the thing was. And then basically he just kind of came up with this, like his big end-all, be-all kind of summation of it was the Necronomicon. No, not that one. His own Necronomicon.
Specifically, Necronom 4 is where he derived the alien from.
Yeah, and this is this basically was like the design guide that kind of was the big missing piece of the film of this is what the alien should look like. This is what the alien planet should look like. This is where our design theory should come from. That sold him on the film, and also this is basically what what was the missing piece of the film, and they also sold Ridley Scott by showing him the Necronomicon book.
Is it just Necronomicon or Necronom?
Well, here's the thing. I heard him say Necronomicon. I don't know if that was. I think that's. I don't know if it was shorthanded to that, but I'm could have sworn it was like they called it the Necronomicon.
It is Necronomicon. I just checked.
Yeah, which is kind of coincidental given Evil Dead. But yeah.
And it was specifically named after the that book from H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So there's also a little bit of Lovecraft in there as well, with design, with a lot of design input and everything. Anyway, so Ridley Scott, he's coming off of The Duelist, and he wanted to kind of broach into something he had never worked before, so he wanted to kind of the whole sci-fi angle. Scott had to fight for Giger on the movie. He had to really fight for him to be included because the studio didn't want him, because they looked at Necronomicon and they were kind of horrified by it.
Well, I mean, pretty much anybody rational would be kind of disturbed looking at Giger's work.
Plus, it's just interesting. Like Ridley Scott comes to his storyboards and they double the budget. Then he shows, "Hey, look at this book, guys!" Like, "Oh my god, what's wrong with you? Don't put him on the set. He's gonna sully our nice, clean set."
Well, I mean, I said, have you seen some of the stuff that he's?
Well, yeah. I'm just saying that you kind of get it, but still, it's like, okay, guys, he's necessary to make the movie. We need him.
Yep. Well, at the point, well, to be fair, at that point, they did know that.
True. Okay, so Sigourney Weaver, this is her first film. I believe she had done theater up to this point, maybe some television. This is her first movie.
Like some bit parts here and there.
Yep. Let's see. This film incorporated some early CG with all the computer console sequences.
Yep.
And we had a kind of an average Joe. We had a very random person playing our monster. We had Bilari Bendejo, I believe. I might be butchering his first name, but Mr. Bendejo. He was this random waiter, like in town when they were shooting the movie in London, and basically the guy was like was practically 7 feet tall. And when he had like the suit on, he became 7 feet tall. And this poor guy, again, not really like a trained actor or anything, usually like a designer, he was suffering in that suit, couldn't sit down or anything. And you see everything we do with that suit. So this poor guy, he was put through it, only for like one movie.
Yep, but he obviously went down in history because of it.
Absolutely. There's we don't have a motion. Unlike Star Wars, we do not have the motion control camera on this. The shot in Pinewood had basically built one giant Nostromo set. The movie is scored by the incomparable Jerry Goldsmith, and to kind of round it out, turning point of the sci-fi genre. We're shifting between the 70s and the 80s here, and this film is right smack dab in the middle of that.
Oh yeah.
And everyone loved it, and it was heralded as a classic and led to God knows how many sequels.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Some of them are definitely better than others.
Yeah.
And one of them is, and arguably the sequel to this movie is considered to be just as good, if not better, than this one.
All right. All that said, let's break it down.
I need more comments saying, if you ever watched the director's cut version, they had the most scary scene, which is the cocoon scene. Yeah, there are quite a few versions of this movie. But for the purposes here, we're going with the original theatrical cut.
The reason being, I heard that Ridley Scott, he preferred the theatrical. Basically, they wanted they need to repackage it for the re-release, and they had the deleted scene lying around, and they basically Ridley Scott's always battling all sorts of cuts and director's cuts and stuff. So it's just kind of the story of his life.
With Blade Runner being the most infamous.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. This is like the warm up for Blade Runner.
Yep. And he's asking if there'll be a retrospective Aliens in 2 years.
Look, I won't make any promises, but chances are probably good.
Yes. I mean, we'd be remiss if we did do that one.
That's the thing. Like, I'm just saying I don't know if I want to guarantee when, but probably you'll probably be covering Aliens at some point. Probably.
I don't think we'll do 3 or do Alien 3 or Resurrection, but
yeah, that's the thing. So we got to cut off at some point,
But definitely Aliens.
Yeah, it's a question of when, but Aliens.
The opening of the movie where the camera goes through the corridors of the Nostromo almost feels like we are given a tour of the ship.
Which is that's very accurate. It's great.
Which is a good way to set it up and okay, this is what we're dealing with. And the fact that basically the first 5 minutes just contain the establishing shots of the ship.
So a couple things about this here. So one, just premise-wise, it's like 2037. not far off from where we are. Uh, you
so
know,
so what do you think of the like just like before we get to the Nostromo, like what do you think of just like the opening titles and all that? Just like the random white lines appearing across the top as it gradually fills into the title.
it's a little slow, but it's okay.
I mean, it definitely goes good in building the tension, doesn't it?
I mean, not as much as like when we're actually going through the Nostromos, but yeah,
I mean, it just goes alien.
yeah,
And of course, we can't be. Of course, we wouldn't be. We'd be remiss if we didn't discuss the iconic tagline of the film:
yeah.
"In space, no one can hear you scream."
It's a good line.
It is a great line.
All right, so again, just in premise, I love that it's a very blue collar kind of like they're basically kind of like they always refer to them as like truckers in space, but essentially they're towing. They're towing like this giant dude. Jacob, what are they towing anyway?
The opening text specifically mentions ore.
So that's ore. That's what. Okay, so I mean that. Okay, I thought there was always like a. So it's literally just rock. It's just a giant thing of like ore rock material of some kind.
Something like that, or it says kind of mentions that, yeah.
And it always looked like it was like like parts of like a city or something to me, but it's something.
Well, I mean, it just might have been among other things, but ore is like the one that's specifically mentioned in the intro.
Gotcha. All right, so
But yes, they essentially are blue collar workers, blue collar truckers in space, and they're hauling cargo.
yeah, and I love the limited cast. It's like 7 people and a cat. Well, and an alien, but let's not get to that point yet. The point is 7 people and a cat, and it's all last names. It's an isolated setting. Like all that's great, and it's very refreshing compared to the usual like kind of rigmarole we have with movies all the time. So Nostromos itself, beautiful set. I love the corridors of the Nostromos. I love like the hallways and like the ceiling doors. Like that's really cool. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of sinister in retrospect because it's a tour of the empty Nostromos as Mother is awakening the crew early. Just, again knowing what we know now, just like Mother is kind of filling a very devious mission.
Yep, that we don't know until later.
Yep. Something I really liked is that if you look in the design of the Nostromos, it is built to
It,
look like the alien.
not to be a correct again, but it's just Nostromo. There's no S at the end.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's just Nostromo.
Oh man, kind of like. Anyways, the Nostromo.
Yeah.
The point being, I like that the Nostromo has that Giger look about it, like naturally. The whole thing of like Giger is about kind of like the organic, and it's technology mixed in with the organics, and it
The term used is like biomechanical.
yes, it has like a very biomechanical look to it. So I like that in kind of reference to that we have the ship kind of like be reminiscent of that. So later on, like it's kind of a foreshadow to when the xenomorph is basically kind of like almost somewhat camouflaged into the environment with the strobe light.
And the important thing to note there, speaking of which, is that technically the xenomorph was never called such in this movie, or really in any of the movies up until like Romulus.
It took him that long. Wait, it took him that long to say xenomorph. I thought
Well,
the next movie they called it a xenomorph. That's
I
not.
mean, well, I mean, maybe that is true, but in this movie specifically, they never referred to it as the
I
xenomorph.
know that, but aliens is what I was curious about. Like I figured they developed the world by then.
Like I said, maybe that is true. But like I said, I don't remember exactly if they referred to it as such there.
So that's Cameron's all about, like the fancy names.
Well, I mean, like I said, it is entirely possible, but technically, that my point is in this movie that they never did refer to it as the xenomorph. It was just alien.
All right.
But anyway. But I do kind of see your point though. Is like the biomechanical nature of the alien does kind of allow it to blend in, especially when it's dark.
Yeah, especially when we see like the tubing and everything, which of course the black tubing very reminiscent of the black skeletal, exoskeleton kind of look.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see. So I do. Here's gonna be a fun thing. So I love the detail that Kane is the first one to wake up and he's gonna be doomed.
Yep. And along with the rest of the crew, Captain.
Oddly, here's in retrospect, you have to wonder why is Ash in hypersleep, but then again, it's like to keep up the ruse.
Yeah. I mean, they do a good job of keeping his whole deal a secret.
Yeah.
It's like, there's Captain Dallas, Kane, Ripley, Lambert, Ash, Parker, and Brett.
Every time I see Tom Skerritt, I keep thinking of the movie Ted. Just the fact that I think it's just so funny that this is like Tom Skerritt in his prime, in his prime.
And he was like, obviously, he was, funny enough, like the most famous person in this movie.
Yeah. And I just love that we have like Ted. He's basically uses is like a punchline.
Yeah.
John, you could know Tom Skerritt.
Was that in the first movie?
Yeah, the first movie. There's this gag. I think it's in the extended cut. I don't know if it's in the theatrical or not, but basically there's this. I'm not talking about the theatrical extended cut of this. I'm talking about Ted. There's two versions of the original Ted movie. Where basically the running gag of the movie is that Matt Walsh's character, is John's boss, knows Tom Skerritt, has like a picture of him with Tom Skerritt. It's like a big point of pride, and just keeps kind of name dropping him. And at the end, like at the wedding, when John gets married, like Tom Skerritt's there with him, like clapping at the end with everyone else. So I think in the extended cut, I don't think it's you have this, my family had better be okay, USOB. Like the idea he somehow like threatened or blackmailed Tom Skerritt to be there. Anywho.
Who, Ted threatened him?
No. Like the boss. And the boss was obsessed with Tom Skerritt this whole time. I guess he probably didn't want to look bad, so he threatened him to be there. Which I think was the extended cut, which I prefer not with that version. It's a little dark.
Yeah.
All right, so Dallas again. We got Dallas. We got Ripley, who's new to the bunch.
Oh yeah.
Got Ash,
Lambert,
Kane. Kane, played by the wonderful John Hurt.
And he lives up to his name.
Yes. I got Parker, and Parker played by the wonderful Yaphet Kotto, who again sadly passed away a year or so ago. And Brett, Harry Dean Stanton.
Yep. They weren't exactly the most famous people at this point, but they basically became a lot more popular after this one.
Hey, I think Brett was in the Avengers.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Also, Jonesy the cat.
Of course, the cat.
Yeah, which again, I still just got a question. Why bring the cat? It just shows you the whole cat lover trend is just in the future. It's still going strong. We're bringing cats into space. Why? Why not? We got nothing else going on, or we're just gonna be on. They're gonna be on ice anyway. Why bring a cat?
Well, you gotta have some companionship, Dragon.
Well, yeah, but are they freezing the cat too?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
that's the thing, right? It's like just going to have all these extra effort. Like that hypersleep costs money.
Well, Dragon. I mean, like I said, they're on a ship for God knows how long.
There's like 6 other people. Why a cat?
Well, like I said, they probably wanted a therapy cat or something.
Well,
just
why
something.
One cat?
I don't know, Dragon. Why are you?
I'm just saying we really forced the cat in there just because we want a cutesy animal. Basically we wanted the jump scare. That's why the cat's in space. No one else is gonna say it. I am. That's why we have the cat in space, just for the jump scare and the reveal. And we need Ripley to save someone, in quotes, in the third act.
Well, like I said, who better than a cat?
It's like the cat up in a tree, but in space.
Yes, and Dragon, as I mentioned earlier, this movie's basically a slasher movie in space.
No, I get that, but still, it's a cat, man. Like the second movie corrected this very memorably.
You mean with Newt?
Yes.
Have you actually seen the full second movie?
No, you're right. I haven't, so I'm not gonna. I don't want to speak too much to that, but she saves the girl, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's a girl, not a cat, right?
Yes, and she does help. She does help Newt.
All right.
So yeah,
was the cat in the second one too?
I believe that. I don't exactly remember.
Okay. The main reason I bring up the cat is like Robot Chicken had a hilarious running gag in one of the episodes where they kept cutting to Alien remade with Alf. Yeah, like he was the alien. Basically, we're playing Alf as imposing as the xenomorph, just like in Sigourney Weaver's face and everything. And he wants to eat the cat. It's pretty funny. Just the idea of Sigourney Weaver. Just imagine like if Sigourney Weaver just hated the show Alf. That's essentially how they play that joke. It's like, oh, all these jokes, I hate them.
And technically, Jonesy does appear in the movie in Aliens, but just very briefly.
Well, there you go.
So he does survive.
Well, Jones is eaten by Alf off screen.
No, he's not.
No, you're right. He's not. Anyway.
All right.
Okay, so let's see. Some points. We have the crew. We like the crew. Yaphet Kotto, I think, is a standout. I thought he was a lot of fun.
And you can just tell based on their interactions that they're just like, a bunch of chums just working chums working together and all that.
Yeah, let's be honest. Lambert has no business being out in space. She's not cut out for it.
What makes you say that?
I don't know. Lambert understood. I'm not faulting her for panicking like this. I'm just saying, given their occupation, it's she. Like a crew member is down having like an emergency medical situation. She's not taking well that blood at all. She's she's freaking out. Her whole role in this movie is just freaking out. She's the panic lady of the movie. And I'm not saying she can't panic. I'm not saying that no one else would be in that position, but it just feels like everyone else is remarkably keeping their cool in this movie. I'm just saying compared to her, if you really look at them.
Well, she is the navigator, Dragon, so she does have a purpose of being there.
I know she has a role in being there, but I'm saying she has in terms of she navigates, but she also is like, hey, we're gonna deviate from the path here, and hey, let's forget the quarantine rules. She's it's like, hey, we actually have a chance to kill the alien. Get out of the way. I'm just gonna look at it scared.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah?
That's it.
Okay. But you can just tell they're all good friends chatting with each other and all that, just eating breakfast together and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Only then do they realize that they were waking up 6 months early.
Yes, this is I really do like this portrayal of kind of the corporations in the future and the corporates basically kind of a corporate run future and big business kind of calling the shots here. It's very much kind of the direction we've been going in to some degree. Like how Amazon and all these businesses have kind of become very, very much kind of linked at the hip with society. And it's this thing where they all have contracts, and in their contract and fine print, they have to respond to any distress beacon, or else they don't get paid at all. Which again is like the Yaphet Kotto, Parker. He's very, very preoccupied with. They're very pirate-like in nature.
Yep, and unfortunately, they do find this so-called distress beacon.
Yes, and of course this leads to a great reveal. We kind of split them off into two groups, and one's on the ship, and then the ones who go to the planet. And this is all shot very practically, in which Ridley Scott, he put his kids in spacesuits to kind of add the scale, which is a really good idea. It's the poor man's process. I dig it.
Yep, got to save the budget, right?
Yep, we have this awesome practical egg that opens up and has that haunting hissing sound and everything.
I mean, what do you think of the actual ship, the actual alien ship itself?
You mean the big chair thing, right?
No, I mean the actual horseshoe ship.
Oh right, well yeah, that's really cool looking. I mean that's what I'm saying. I love the interior. To me is even better, but.
Well, I mean, yeah, the interior is great, but you don't get to that other world, that otherworldly feel of the movie until you actually see the alien ship.
Yeah,
and of course, the big reveal of what the hell's going on is the space jockey.
Yeah, Why is it called the space jockey?
Honestly, I'm not so sure. I think it's a reference to something.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm not sure of the name.
I gotta be honest. I was a little fuzzy on what the. So it sounds like the space jockey was whoever was manning. I mean, you've seen the other movie. That's why I was asking you, because I think Prometheus gets the heart of this, doesn't it?
Yes, but Alien does. I mean, Prometheus does kind of explain some of that stuff, but that movie was written by Damon Lindelof, so
I heard from what I understand about Prometheus started as a prequel, then it kind of blended into like weird Lindelofian kind of things, where it's like we're kind of a prequel, we're kind of not a prequel, and that confused everybody.
I mean, it technically is a prequel, but like I said, it was written by Damon Lindelof, so it barely makes any sense.
So I bring it up because I could have sworn I saw like a thing one time, like the person like walking into like the big chair, like the jockey thing.
I,
And
I'm,
I don't know who that guy was.
I mean, that does happen.
That's the thing. So was that an alien of like a basically that became a victim of the xenomorph? Is that what happened there?
I mean, the xenomorphs technically were kind of a thing by that point, but it's really hard to explain. It's really
Look,
hard to
all I
explain.
know is in the vacuum of this movie specifically, I like the visual storytelling of okay, whoever this big space jockey guy was,
It's been dead a long time.
he's been dead a long time, and he's a foreshadow of things to come because he seemingly was, he was the previous chestburster victim, and he sent out what was a distress call, but in reality was a warning beacon.
Yes, and of
Like that's a
course,
great reveal.
it's like they realize Ripley's looking into the beacon, saying like, "This isn't a distress beacon; it's a warning." It's kind of a thing that kind of sneaks by, but kind of becomes important later on
I
when
love that.
but then everyone, the people, they go looking around, exploring the interior, which is an awesome interior, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And Kane comes across a room full of eggs.
Eggs and bacon, eggs, bacon, eggs, bacon, eggs and bacon, and maybe some toast. And that's what Kane is right now. He's toast. He's not doing well.
No, because they seem innocuous enough, like just random eggs here and there, but we don't even know if they're eggs at that point. but then the first true jumps is a true scare of the movie. It bursts out and melts through his helmet.
Yeah, so he's seemingly a goner. We have like a quarantine situation. No one's listening to Ripley as she's trying to warn him, like, "Hey guys, look, no quarantine protocols. We got to keep him. We got to keep him outside." Is like
for 24 hours.
24. Was it 24 or 48?
I think it was 24 hours.
Yeah, it's for 24 hours, and like
he could be dead in 24 hours.
Yep, I mean they do kind of have a point, but still, it's like, guys, look, this is the again, if we're following like, the rules, if we have to investigate this distress call there, I mean, I don't know, man, it might be there for a good reason. He was just attacked by like an alien object of some kind.
Yeah, but they want to save their friend, which is
Yeah,
understandable
but
as
that's
well.
like, so she's holding the power here. She's not letting them on, but Ash does, and
But we think he's just doing it to help his friend, but we'll find out why the true reason later on.
oh yeah, yep.
So they're let on and they take him to med bay. They get his suit off. They get Kane's suit off of him, and then they find this weird creature attached to his face.
Yeah, the face hugger is just it's just clinging on there. They can't get off for the life and without taking his face off with it.
Which is made by used seafood, which is made from used seafood in real life.
Oh yeah.
Like I think they took like a couple of crabs and maybe like a squid or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I know crabs were used in its design. Like so, they actually made like practical. Obviously, everything in this movie is practical. That's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they use seafood parts to create the face hugger.
By the way, this is not the best smelling production, in case anyone's curious.
Probably not. No.
Because you hot lights, all this, seafood, and then later on, we have like a bunch of animal guts in one scene. It's just, it's the set could stink at certain times.
We'll get there.
We will. So, anyway, so they're trying to remove this thing and like cut off you cut off like the face huggers, like like
legs and all that.
the legs, and the pincers, whatever, and
but there's a problem.
Acid blood. Apparently, this thing is a defense. This is a really great kind of, again, this is again the whole biological kind of insect kind of nightmare stuff that O'Bannon's body horror nightmare stuff O'Bannon's obsessed with.
And
as a defense mechanism from being injured or hurt, you know, the xenomorph's blood is like basically it's molecular acids. It's very acidic, so basically it burns through the ship. And this is the bit I didn't see coming. The idea that we got to stop this thing from like eating a hole through the entire ship, so they have to run down as fast as they can and try and like stop it somehow.
yep,
That's really cool.
yep, yep. And the funny thing is that's actually kind of explored upon more in Alien Romulus.
Oh.
Like it's actually kind of a plot point. The acid blood, more than just like a defense mechanism or preventing them from being shot at, it actually comes into play in the final act and all that.
Okay.
Without giving too much away, of course.
Anyway,
since obviously that movie just came out early last month.
So this is great that you know, between Parker and Ripley, they both have like, you know, Ripley saying don't let him in, and Parker's making the better idea, like the better suggestion of, hey, put him on ice, you know, like put him in hypersleep, you know, put him in like stasis right now. He's already comatose.
The important thing is though, like to notice that the facehugger is actually feeding Kane oxygen too.
Very symbiotic, parasitic relationship.
Yeah, it's both more parasitic, but it's also keeping him alive.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this thing, but they do manage to get it off of him. They don't put him on ice, but they do somehow manage to get it off of him.
Well, not really. They leave and it detaches from him.
It detaches as we notice, and when it falls off near Ripley and it's dead.
Yep, and I love that. I love the practicality of it too. Like literally, like you can almost see as like a rubber thing just kind of falls on her, but she's acting the heck out of it. Like, oh god, like we all would be if something like that fell on us.
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, you said yourself you hate flying things.
Yeah.
So it's like, so if something fell out of the sky and randomly onto your shoulder, you'd freak out too.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of true to life, just kind of like genuine like scare stuff in this.
I mean, considering how much of that kind of stuff was enforced in this movie, do you think Sigourney knew that was going to happen, or?
I think she knew it was going to happen, but I don't think it was like told. Okay, sun's going to fall from the ceiling. I don't think they told her like sun's going to fall right on you,
or when it was going to happen.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like, well, the only way to know is asking Sigourney herself.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we can't because she's famous and we have no way to contact her.
Yeah.
Unless you're James Cameron.
That's true.
And neither of us are James Cameron.
Well, not the last time I checked, but let's give it 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I could be James Cameron in 5 minutes. You don't know.
Well, we'll find out.
I could be petty. I could re-release Avatar in theaters to make more money. I could do it.
All right. Let's move on.
Anyway.
If anything, they need to re-release Aliens.
There you go. Here's the thing. Look, if Aliens got re-released and then made a buttload of money, at least it's been a long time, and that would be something respectable. Versus like, hey, let's go back 5 years. Let's put it out again.
All right. It was closer to 10 years.
Well, I know that. Well, I'm saying like if he did it with like with like Way of Water now, it would be like
All right.
As I'm saying, it's just like going however long. They're just going to put another one out. It's like, hey, let's get this one up to the Avatar status. Now let's re-release Way of Water.
All right, but so Kane, he joins them at breakfast again. He's seemingly fine.
Yep, and well, it's not breakfast. They want a meal before they all go back to sleep. So it's dinner.
And it's like dinner. So dinner. Yeah, food. Yep, they're eating food basically.
Yeah, they're eating crappy food.
Eating a meal. Yeah, and so he's fine. They're chatting things up. Everything is perfectly fine.
And we're 55 minutes into the movie at this juncture.
Yes. And so far, the scariest thing is something latched to his face.
Yes. You're thinking, okay, well, clearly there's no way we're getting scarier than that. Oh, dear viewer.
Oh, yeah.
We got the landmark scene of the movie here. We got
then he starts convulsing. Things like he doesn't feel very good. He starts.
Well, he started. Here's the thing that always got me. What got me really here on to watch this. And I love Parker's concern. For initially, it looks like he's like they're all like a little worried about King because he was paralyzed and he was almost dead, and it was kind of scary for all of them. And there's some camaraderie there. They're not all like besties, but there's like some like Parker, who seems to be a very kind of monetary kind of guy. He's concerned for Kane here because Kane could have been him. and he sees Kane kind of like choking here, and he thinks he's like like gonna have to give him a Heimlich or something. But I love the little bit of concern there before it really goes bad.
It's like, yep, you see things start to go crazy. He starts like convulsing, acting like something starts moving in his chest.
Yep, and then we have, oh god, oh, the blood. There's, so, to quote Psycho, oh, there's blood, so much blood.
Yeah, the funny thing is, Romulus topped it with the blood.
Ah, come on. Though. Yes, there's probably more blood, but the way the blood spurts out, though.
Yeah, it's like it spurts out all over everyone. It's like, and nobody. The thing is, nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody on set except a few people knew what was going to happen.
They knew, like, okay, he's gonna convulse, and the thing's gonna pop out of like the puppet's chest. They knew that. They did not know when it pops out of the chest, the blood's gonna go flying everywhere. And what made it worse is that in addition to the blood, they have like
and like what I understand, it was not just fake film blood either.
no, it's essentially
It wasn't it like lamb blood or something.
well, the blood itself. I don't know if the blood was mixed like they mixed in film blood with the rest of this, but just chances are, in addition to blood, they had like like from slaughterhouses, like guts and like animal guts and like lambs and stuff, and it's like a whole bunch of just like whatever animal parts and for the entrails. So I guess the blood could have like it would have made sense. They could have had blood in there with the entrails. So
Oh yeah.
Regardless, they had entrails in there, and that basically stunk up the place with the lights and everything.
As Little Blue points out, the reaction to the blood and chest bursting was real.
That's what I'm saying. So Lambert, I know it might sound a little harsh on Lambert. I'm just saying this later on. It's like we could kill the thing, and Lambert's just getting in the way. But Lambert here, she's like the actress. She actually legitimately slipped in that blood. That's why she falls in that scene.
I mean, it definitely sells it. I mean,
yeah, she's actually freaking out, like they like getting on her and everything. Like, she didn't expect it to like go like right in her eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. Yeah, I mean, it definitely sells the scene for sure.
Yep.
And obviously, it bursts. A small yellow creature bursts out of his chest, instantly killing him.
Yep, and here's the thing that really scares me about the chest burster, the baby xenomorph, if you want to put in kind of cuddly Disney terms.
Yeah.
The baby Xeno.
Yeah.
Grand Zenny, if we put in the kind of Toriyama isms. The way it scurries out of the room and makes that little sound is just like that. That to me that's terrifying.
The little and the patter of its feet too.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
You can't see its feet obviously for practical reasons, but
well, yeah,
that's like that's like another thing that this movie excels at is just sound design.
Yep.
It's like that's a little, but it's amazing like how many of these like old-fashioned horror films just like kind of implied these things just with the sound of it.
Oh yeah. Well, plus, we really don't get a good view of the xenomorph in this movie, of the alien itself. The alien is obscured because, one, they're afraid of, it's kind of the Jaws principle. We're afraid of the effect, how the effect's going to look if it's like shot dead on.
So minor appearances here and there applying its presence and like, it's right there! Kind of
and the strobe light.
Oh yeah. It's like, I was watching, well, the funny thing is, I was watching this movie last night in the dark, and I completely forgotten about the strobe lights. And let's just say I had to cover my eyes, not because it was terrifying, just because it hurt my eyes.
Oh.
I mean, I was perfectly fine with the scariness of it, but the strobe lights, I was like, oh god, that's hurting my eyes.
Strobe light was a really good idea for just making the thing more terrifying.
Yeah, but adds to like the haunted house atmosphere as well.
Oh yeah.
This movie basically is kind of like a haunted house / slasher movie in space.
So I just love that all this happens like we up the status, we kind of upend the status quo like an hour, practically the halfway point, the hour into the movie almost.
It's like this kind of mystery / kind of thing, and then at that point, from the moment it bursts out of his chest, it becomes a horror movie.
And this thing like evolves fast into like like a little later it's like full creature size, and again. because it incorporates like the coils and designs of the ship there again, just Giger, that Giger aesthetic, that the biomechanical kind of look, just the super former again. This poor guy, he can't stand up, so the result is he's always in an imposing crouching or like some contorted position, which is just adds like an extra scare factor.
Dragon, have you actually seen the specific image that Giger designed the alien from? The image.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's like it's this little, it's almost like a hieroglyphic of the alien from the side. It has like the giant elongated head and everything. It's still curled up, isn't it?
Yes, like it's specifically titled Necronom 4.
There you go. I think that's what you kept thinking of earlier on. You're probably thinking of like that's the page.
This is called Necronom 4, and he like, but yeah, it's like
that was the image that inspired the movie right there. Like that's essentially what the alien needs to look like.
Yes, it's obviously for reasons I cannot show it. For various reasons, I cannot display it here because it is a very adult in nature.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's a lot of sexuality in the
alien.
In Giger's work with the whole basically the whole biomechanical thing. So it's kind of like again, like for example, the face hugger thing is very it's very much a violation.
Yeah, that's even again.
It also doesn't help that the alien's head, I guess to put it tastefully, it's very phallic in nature.
I mean, check it. If you've seen Necronom 4, it's even more so. And which is, I'll send you the image in private chat, and everyone can look it up on their own discretion. But looking at that, you can probably see why I can't display it on a YouTube video. So as Dragon said, it is very phallic in nature. So I would not be able to show that on here, even if I wanted to. You see what I mean, Dragon?
Well, yeah, I see it, but that's the thing. I mean, it's really just the back of the head, though.
Yeah, I know, but
that's the image. That's essentially that was the image, though.
The image that inspired the alien's design.
Yeah,
but you can understand why I wouldn't be able to show it on like a live stream like this anyway.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what the cool thing is looking at this though. Again, just the fact that it has like the little mouth at the end too.
I mean, it's just like it almost like draws the line of like you don't want to look at it yet you can't look away from it.
Yeah, I mean the thing that always kind of struck me about Giger's stuff is that it has like this because I remember in Never Sleep Again they kind of talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. I think I forget if it's 4 or not. It might have been a New Night. It's either a New Nightmare or it's in 4, where the Rennie Harlan one, where basically a guy becomes melded with a motorcycle as his nightmare, and basically they kind of pulled a lot from Giger on that one, where it's kind of made the whole biomechanical kind of look. And I'm saying, looking at the xenomorph artwork you sent me, they're like the Necronom 4 essentially, or the Nom 4. It kind of has like the parts that look like a motorcycle or something on the side of it. You know what I mean? Like the exhaust ports and everything.
Yeah, and Giger's work also, and Giger also worked on Poltergeist 2, by the way.
It would have been really funny if like Giger's had a motorcycle that looked exactly like the xenomorphers looked exactly like an alien, but it was like it's still a motorcycle though. It was a style to look like that.
Yeah, well, that tells you how terrifying his work was. He worked on Alien and Poltergeist 2. Now, he did not work on Aliens, the second movie.
Also, a nightmare-inducing his honeymoon must have been.
Yep, he did not work on on Aliens, but he did approve. He did love the design of the Alien Queen, though.
There you go.
So he did approve of it because it was basically an evolution of his work, and obviously the Alien Queen is awesome anyway. So
yep, I want this xenomorph with a hat.
But we'll obviously get to that if and when we cover it.
Yeah.
So back to the movie, unless you have something else to say about it.
I want to say about the alien though. I love like the close-ups on the mouth and the slime and everything. Like that's great.
Yeah, we don't actually. That's pretty much all we see about it for quite a bit of time.
Yeah. Okay, Slasher Fred points out, like, okay, it was the fifth one. Okay, I think it was in between the two I was mentioning somewhere. Yeah, the fifth one, that's the Dream Child. That's the one where he had this, there's good, nice, like a nice, young, fresh faced director worked on that, like a nice kid kind of. Anyways, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's from. Okay.
So yeah, like they actually the thing is with the little xenomorph, they actually like it actually bursts out of his chest, and you can actually like see it staring at all, like looking around at all the people there.
Oh yeah.
It's like I like ooh victims,
Yep.
but they try to kill it with that prod that Kane had, not Kane, but that Brett had, but Ash stops it, but seemingly to like spare him from getting killed.
Yeah.
But again, as we learn later, he has an ulterior motive.
So essentially now we kind of the plot has shifted to, okay, we gotta, it's kind of funny how this works. We're going to find the thing that's trying to kill us too. We're going to flee away from the thing that's trying to kill us.
Yes, it's like so.
So they split up, and let's just say it doesn't end well for Brett.
Brett follows, like, is looking around for it and tries to find Jones.
Again, dies for a cat.
Yes, Dragon. I get that you don't like cats, but they do.
It's nothing personal against the cat. I'm just saying, in weighing the value of the human life and the feline companion, I'm just saying,
Yeah. All right.
Died for the cat because there's a cat in space when cats are an Earth pet.
Never heard of the dog star. Anyway, it's like so like. And Brett speaking of which, Brett comes across an important clue, though, while looking for Jones. The alien sheds skin.
Yeah.
Which you can just tell at that point, he's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, it's not good.
Nope. He finds Jones in the boiler room, and he sees Jones just hiding in the corner or hiding behind an area.
And again, the value of the cat is that, okay, the cat is like a good reveal for the alien. Like, it's hissing at, like, hey, I'm not going to hurt you, Jones. Oh, boy. He's hissing at something behind me, isn't he?
But the thing is, it's like the neat thing about it in this case is that the alien just doesn't appear out of nowhere. You can actually see it come down before he notices it.
Which is like the best part of this thing is blends into the ship seamlessly.
Yep, it's perfect organism after all.
It's jaws on legs.
Yes. Can you imagine if a chestburster got onto Bruce?
Oh wow.
I know the shark's name isn't actually Bruce, but
yeah, well, if it were, it'd be a nice Australian shark who's trying to break its habit.
Yes. But either way, we get to see its pharyngeal jaw and all that kill Brett. It basically like goes straight into his skull and all that and kills him.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And it's a quick kill too. We don't even really see it. It's like all mashed together.
Yeah.
So yeah, he dies a quick, painful death.
Well, that's the thing too. So the method of death is actually based on Wasp. Well, the face hugger and the method of death, the whole little mouth thing, is based on like Wasp.
Wasp?
Yeah, Wasp.
What do you mean by Wasp?
Well, I mean, like how Wasp, like apparently they ever like put a wasp under a microscope when they do their thing. That's kind of like a thing. I don't know if it's like the mating thing, or literally like when they wasp, they do like a bite instead of like a traditional sting or something. It's like somehow like the wasp have like this little mouth that works like the alien mouth.
Oh yeah, like
Rick and Morty did like a thing where they like there was like Wasp Rick. Do you remember that? The whole thing was that Rick kept switching the bodies and he ended up like the whole Wasp reality.
Yep.
That's how it works.
A pharyngeal jaw is specifically what it's called.
Yeah, that's the whole pharyngeal jaw thing. That's based on the Wasp, which again is kind of O'Bannon. It's kind of like his insect hang-up.
Yep, and obviously proved to be quite an iconic image because in every single parody you see the mouth coming out.
I mean, that's there's something you gotta give kudos to in terms of like the horror movie aspect of like okay, Dracula's thing was the seduction, and then the teeth are coming at you, but we've kind of like how can we make that our own and kind of add like a sci-fi twist to it? Well, again, it's kind of like the intimate, oddly again per Giger style, the intimate, oddly sexual aspect of it, where it like feeding or is it like a praying mantis kind of thing, where it's like it's taking the head of its victim and potentially a problematic sense.
And with the nested mouth.
Yep, because I mean the thing is, impregnated. Basically like the face hugger and impregnated, and kind of like rebirthed itself.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like the original deleted scenes, it wasn't actually outright killing most in some of them. It actually took them to produce more eggs.
Yeah, like Dallas.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, Dallas, he this is a wonderfully tense sequence where Dallas is in the vents, which already we know is a bad idea. Never go in the vents, kid. Unless you're John McClane, never go in the vents.
Especially if you're playing Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
Have you know that game?
I know what that game is. Yes.
Have you watched the playthrough of it at all?
I've not watched the playthrough, but I saw clips of it.
And I'm thinking you're never going to actually play it yourself.
I mean, well, no, I don't have the system. It's an older system.
It's on a PS4.
Wait, really? Wait a minute. Alien Ice.
Yeah, Alien Isolation was on a PS4.
Did they like update, or is it like a new game?
I mean, no, it came out in the early 2010s.
Oh, huh.
But it's still on the PS4 and it's backwards compatible on the PS5.
Well, regardless, I'm not playing it, but it's still like I thought it looked a lot. The graphics looked a lot older.
Well, I mean, the thing is, a lot of the I mean, it kind of does considering it came out in the mid 2010s, and they were also trying to evoke the look of the first Alien movie with it.
Well, I mean, look at the game. What I saw looked really impressive, like from a conceptual kind of thing. Is looked a little older. I figured I thought maybe it was like a PS3 or PS2 thing. Honestly,
nope, PS4 and Xbox One, and also PC.
All right,
and more recently Nintendo Switch.
But well, there's our shilling for the evening, folks.
But the thing is, it's actually a very well designed game. It's actually very terrifying. You play Ellen's daughter, Amanda.
Yeah, that's okay. So I'm thinking it's the same one I'm thinking of then. Yep.
Yep. And you just basically try and survive as the alien hunts you around the station.
Yeah, terrifying game.
It is terrifying. I've actually beaten it.
Oh.
And it is terrifying.
Yeah.
I even started replaying it after I played Alien. After I watched Alien.
There you go.
After I watched this, I'll just say that. But
see that I don't have the constitution to do that.
to play horror games.
No, I'm saying if I'm watching Alien, you know what I need more of? I need more tension. I need more sci-fi nightmare film. I'm going to put myself in a Ripley's shoes.
Yes, it was quite terrifying to play in the dark.
Yeah.
And with headphones.
That's what I'm saying. Like that to me is that's crazy talk. Like, why would you ever do that to yourself?
Well, the thing is, I don't play a lot of horror games, but that's one of the few I've actually played through.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played through quite a couple horror games, but they're not usually my bag. But I'm a big fan of Aliens, so.
So I love how it ratchets up the tension of Dallas in the vents here, where he's
they basically jerry-rig flamethrowers.
Yeah, we have the flamethrowers, and we have the the cattle prods and the flamethrowers, and the vents are closing behind him.
They want to try and trap the alien.
Yep, and then we have like the readout thing. Like we have like the readout, kind of graphic.
Like with the dots representing both him and the alien.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, like, due to the way it is, you can't tell, and like, is it above him or below him?
Like that's what I'm talking about. Like that was really clever, and just the tension of like, oh god, it's getting closer and closer, and we're cutting away from the alien and doing so, and it was like, yeah, it was great.
And then he goes and then Dallas climbs down, trying to survive, and then out of nowhere, the alien just jumps right at him.
And it's a cool shot of the alien too.
It is. It's like it's a I mean, I've seen this movie before, and it still gave me a bit of a jump scare there. And the thing is, it's not a quiet scene either, like other jump scares. like other jump scares, like especially a lot of modern ones, like they keep things entirely silent, and all of a sudden this loud noise and image comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
Well, this was pretty much loud and chaotic throughout the entirety, and then it ended with that. Like it's kind of like a reverse jump scare if you think about it. A lot of jump scares, like the jump scare starts the horrific scene.
Well, think about this too. We subverted the whole, the horror. Again, this is before we really have like the horror cliches. This is when we have everyone's like just around like like the dinner table, and seemingly it's safe. It's safety in numbers. The lights on. There's no like someone being isolated and just alone, and like the camera and the POV of the monster. Like we don't do any of that.
It's like it's like they stay together and mostly and still get killed.
Yeah.
So it's like so Dallas's death is actually like one of the more surprising ones, especially because he's like he's Tom Scared. He's like he's the big guy in the movie, and he's like one of the earliest people to die. So I mean, at the time, that was kind of a shocking thing. I mean, especially like 1979. So, but his death was actually like you said it was a pretty cool shot too, though, right?
Yeah.
Did you actually get a bit of a jump scare from that too?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of the tension was ratcheted, and I knew he was coming. I was wondering, like, how much are we going to see of this thing? And then we like that shot, like, oh man, I was more like enamored by like the cool shot of it all. But like, I don't know about. It's like you knew it was coming, though. You knew he was going to show up. You didn't know quite where, but maybe there was a slight jump scare in that case.
I think you didn't know where or when it was going to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not like the scariest scene in the movie.
It was more a surprise than a legit, like full on jump scare, but it was more like, oh, okay, there he goes. It was more, how much are we going to see of him?
It's like, yeah, it's obviously not like the scariest or tensest scene in the movie, of course, but
yeah,
but it was definitely like one of the more memorable scenes in it, nonetheless.
Yeah.
And again, the captain, the lead guy, dying is obviously, as I mentioned, for 1979 was very surprising.
Yep.
All right. Parker only finds the flamethrower, which is supposed to be a lead into the fact that the alien took him somewhere. But they never followed on it in the theatrical cut. So then what happens next, Dragon?
All right, let's see. So Ripley, she gets to the bottom.
She's basically in charge now.
Well, because everyone gets getting killed off, but yeah, she's in charge now. She's basically the plan is like we're gonna shoot out of the airlock. She determines what. Basically, she does some digging through Mother's memory and everything, and she finds out what Order 937 is.
Yep, and basically like one of the basically the biggest reveal in the entire movie. Crew expendable.
So I love this, by the way. I love that Anderson makes no bones about it. In Wall-E,
your mother now.
Well, I mean, a couple things. I mean, one, in Wall-E, yes, the ship, she basically is mother. That's why we get Sigourney Weaver in that movie. But I mean, the whole A113, command for Otto is basically the same reveal as Alien here with Order 937.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember actually watching the commentary for Wall-E, and he's approaching Sigourney about the role. He's like, your mother now.
Yeah, that's what he said. And also, we bring her back in Finding Dory.
Yep, mother again.
Yep.
Andrew Stanton really likes working with Sigourney Weaver.
Well, don't we all?
I mean, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have the opportunity to work with her, you work with her. So yeah. So, but that's like the biggest reveal is like the company basically gave Mother the directive to to basically bring the creature aboard, and that the crew is an expendable resource, which is a big deal. And she discovers Ash was in on it.
Yep, which recontextualizes all the stuff earlier on where it seems like, oh man, he's taking his job really seriously, he's being really protective of the creature. It's like, oh no, his whole mission was this creature, and like screw the crew. The crew, they were the expendable yuppies just transporting it from point A to point B.
I mean, yeah, Ash is like was obviously part of the science crew, was part of the science crew, and he seemingly just seemed like this uptight, not necessarily uptight, but aloof kind of person and all that. And then like when she tried to get away from, he kind of blocked her from getting away and started attacking her. Fortunately, the rest of the crew found her
Yep.
as he was trying to kill her with a rolled up magazine.
Yep, and this is Yaphet Kotto's big moment here, where he's fighting this thing and eventually like hits it with like I think it's like a fire extinguisher, right?
Basically, yeah. And what happens is his head, like his Ash does
Well,
not.
initially, before that, remember he's spinning around making that horrific sound as he's just
Yeah.
like he's been clocked and he's like going around involuntarily spinning around and everything.
Like whoop, 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 that kind of thing.
Yep, and then basically another hitter, like I think someone takes an axe to him potentially. Someone hits him with something, either hits him again with the fire extinguisher or like an axe, and his head is pretty much it's almost lopped off, like almost it's like hanging on by like a thread, but it's like pretty much like lopped off.
Yeah, when the reveal is like he didn't die because he's an android.
Oh yeah, this is a great reveal.
Oh yeah, it's like, and then basically from that point on, he's like becomes more cold and kind of calculating kind of thing.
Yep, and this is the fact that his his innards are it's a combination of milk, caviar, marbles, and pasta.
Which Little Blue adds yogurt.
Yeah, a little bit of yogurt in there too. So
They do manage to reactivate his head.
yes, so they can try and get some answers out of him, which pretty much equates to you guys are so screwed.
It's like
you don't have a chance.
But you have my sympathies.
It's a good line. You have my sympathies.
Like I'll try and look up the specific line.
He gives that. Well, that's what he says. You have my sympathies.
I know, but he like says like, but I'm trying to find like the whole line. I can't lie about your chances, but you have my sympathies.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like that's like a chilling line. Like you
gives that smile, and then he gets knocked over. The scoring knocks him one.
And then for extra good measure, Parker just eradicates him with the flamethrower.
Yep, just out of spite.
I mean, he deserved it at that point.
He did. So, by the way, the actor, poor guy. The guy who plays Ash.
Ian Holm.
Yeah, Ian Holm. He hated milk, and he had to keep gargling milk during that scene.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Because that poor guy has hated milk, and he had to be coated in like all that gunk, like the milk yogurt and like caviar and stuff, and his stuff. Well, plus, again, under the hot lights and everything, you can imagine milk isn't gonna settle that well.
No. He was committed to the bit though, and he gave a excellent performance out of it too.
Yeah. Ridley Scott's always bothered by that scene because the head shrunk between takes. It had like a latex head it had like two latex heads, and the original one kept shrinking, and you can kind of still see a little shrunk in a shot or two.
I mean, you can definitely tell when they use the fake head and use Ian Holm's head.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change. But it doesn't take away the effectiveness of the scene, though.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so now the plan is.
But the point is, it's still definitely the most noticeable special effect they have.
So, I like in our plotting here, it makes really good sense that we tried like throwing this thing out of the air. Like right now, it's just okay. Look, this mission is terrible. The company tried to kill us. Let's just get out of here and blow the place up.
Like they decide to. It's like, so yeah, they basically do what Lambert suggested in the first place: is just destroy the thing.
Yeah.
So, while gathering supplies, Lambert and Parker come across the alien.
And well, they have Ash's sympathies. You know what? They did not fare that well against the alien. They put up a fight though.
Yep, like both Lambert and Parker. I mean, Parker gets the classic jaw through the mouth or jaw through the head kind of thing. And we don't even know what happens to Lambert.
Well, actually, Lambert, if I remember correctly, I want to say Lambert got violated by the tail.
Yeah, but it was.
I like that it was implied. I'm glad it was implied because it's just a horrifying idea. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's ambiguous, and we never actually see what happened.
Well, I guess the implication is just per that deleted scene. Maybe she didn't get killed. Maybe she was the other, like she was the other cocoon.
Yes, but in the movie as we have it in the theatrical cut, we don't know.
Yep. Anyway,
But it kills them both, leaving Ripley alone.
and the cat.
But she doesn't know about the cat just yet.
Right.
Like Ripley's alone. She hears Lambert's screams, and then she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't. And that's where it really ratchets up the tension. It's like she hears the screams and then nothing. Knowing that she finally realizes that she's all alone on this massive ship with a beast that's hell bent on killing her.
Oh yeah.
And that is nothing short of terrifying, is it, Dragon?
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
And so she alone goes to set the self-destruct. And then just wanders around the halls with nothing but a flamethrower trying to survive.
Now, I was a little iffy on this one part, but then I think as it sunk in, I think it made more sense. Like in the first watch, though, like the first watch all the way through, it did feel like a little reductive. That okay, she sets the self destruct, she runs. So you imagine the idea would be okay, she hits self destruct, she runs, gets the cat, and then basically with the cat she's running and like a straight shot to the shuttle, and basically we just do the ticking clock like that, the way it does in the movie. It's self destruct, aliens, it blocking her exit, so she has to go back and hit stop the self destruct. Doesn't go well, and now she has like 5 minutes to run all the way to the shuttle, despite the alien there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it does work and it does play well. I'm just saying the first watch it just seemed a little, and we're going back the self destruct, but her just like saying, "Oh, mother, you son of a, oh."
It's like, and the fact that she was just so close to stopping the self-destruct.
Yeah.
But she couldn't.
Yep.
And I mean, and it really does go on for about 10 minutes while we just try and see her survive.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so she does, she makes it by the skin of her teeth.
Yep. And
big explosion.
The ship blows up, and everything is good. Like
Yep.
she puts Jones in the hyperspace.
See Sigourney in her
in her hypersleep. Yes, she gets down to her underwear.
Well, I bring that up because we're doing kind of like the classic horror movie thing here, in a sense, where pretty girl in the undies, and she's as vulnerable as she could be, and then the monster's back.
Yep. She happens to see it in the console.
Okay, so to me, this is the most universal. I don't know about the rest of you, at least to me, and I would say roughly it's a universal phenomenon in some way, shape, or form. This is like you got a bug or a rodent or a something in your safe space, and you'll want to get rid of it. And there's that tension and ticking clock of of getting it before it comes towards you. I mean, have you ever had that? Have you ever had like there's like a mouse or like a bug or something that like okay, I gotta stop this thing or like get deterred or like shoo it away or something.
Yes.
Before it before it charges, like it moves, it gives you the heebie-jeebies as it comes at you.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's entirely ambiguous in the movie too. It's like, is it alive? I mean, is it asleep? Is it taunting her?
Yeah, because like the arm comes out, and again, it blends perfectly into the ship.
Yeah, but it's technically there like the whole time, and you can almost see it until and you're like, is that the alien? And then the arm comes out. Yep, that's the alien.
Yeah. So I just love this tension of like she's again Sigourney Weaver, beautiful as she is, we can't have her finish this movie in the undies. So she's putting the spacesuit on again for safety and for the airlock plan. So I love the ticking clock there and the tension of like she's arming herself
very, very slowly.
very slowly. Again, she doesn't want to. If she startles the thing, she's going to charge at her.
Yep. Very, very calculated movements there.
And then she, like this is Sigourney Weaver couldn't be any more attractive to me. she finishes this monster off with the grappling gun. Like that's my kind of woman right there. Like
Yeah.
yes, uses
Like,
the grappling gun.
well, first off, she like uses like some coolant to like get it off of there, like
Mhm.
fully get it out. It tries to kill her. She activates the airlock.
I've done that coolant move, by the way.
And then as it's stuck in there, she does hit it with the grappling gun to get it out of the spaceship, to get it out of the doorway.
Yeah.
but that doesn't kill it. But
No,
but
the thrusters does.
but finally, quote unquote, kills it is the thrusters.
Yep.
So yeah, the alien is seemingly dead. Finally certain, and finally can leave Ripley alone.
Yep. Now, the original ending, from what I heard, was do you remember what the original ending was supposed to be?
The original ending was like the same video call, but it was revealed to be the alien mimicking her voice.
Yeah, like the idea is like the alien killed her and mimicked her voice. So basically, the alien was like, "Hey, everything's fine. We're returning."
Yeah, but I can kind of understand why they nixed that idea.
Yeah.
It
Well,
doesn't
it would
really.
be a franchise if that happened.
Yeah, and it also really doesn't make much sense
No.
because I don't think it was like. I mean, if they would have done that in like the rest of the movie, or like at least other one point in the movie, it would have worked. But then that just been like a random dark ending out of nowhere kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So it's like the alien falls out of the airlock. Plus, they want to do something different because at that point, like a lot of horror movies did kind of have like that bleak ending, so they wanted to do something at least somewhat hopeful. And so it ends with her log entry. This is Ellen Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off.
Yeah.
And she goes into hypersleep to parts unknown.
Yep.
Where will she go? Only time will tell.
Well, aliens. She goes to aliens.
I know, Dragon. I was trying to have a bit of gravitas here, but you kind of
No,
ruined.
no. You're right. I'm just come on.
I was trying to have a bit of gravitas there, Dragon.
She's gonna awaken in an even better movie. That's where she's going to awaken.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah.
Which hopefully we will discuss in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
But time will tell.
Okay. The point being, Ripley, she's earned a rest after all that horror that she's been put through, and what she awakens to may be a nightmare.
Yep, and it's a longer sleep than she anticipates too.
Yeah, she should have set that up. Mother is just never good with the alarms.
Well, let's just say, like, how old is she in this movie again? Like, let's just say in her 30s, maybe. Or
I
maybe
mean, early 30s, maybe late 20s, possibly late 20s, but early 30s, brother.
Well, let's just say that it's as of aliens, she looks good for a 70-year-old woman.
Yep.
Because technically that's how old she is, because it's like the weight's like 50 or 55 years after Alien. So let's just say she looks pretty good for a nearly 80-year-old woman there.
Oh, she looks fantastic.
Not a day over 30.
Yep.
But again, we'll probably make that joke again if we ever do Aliens.
Yep.
So that brings us to the end of Alien, an iconic ending to an iconic movie.
Yeah.
So, any closing thoughts here, Dragon?
Just, I mean, it lived up to its status as like as one of the sci-fi classics.
Like one of the pillars of sci-fi horror and sci-fi movies in general.
Yeah, so it lived up to the hype. I think it's exquisitely shot. It's it's definitely earned Sigourney all the success that would come.
And along with Ridley Scott as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was the tide that raised all ships.
Oh yeah, and definitely pretty much proved what sci-fi can do. And it doesn't have to be like this grand epic thing or anything like that. It can be isolation and horror as well.
So sometimes less is more.
Oh yeah. Again, I love these movies. I'm a big fan of like I said, mostly this one and the next one. But it's just to say, like, those movies are both so good they basically carry the franchise alone, which is a huge testament to that, to their quality. But just solely this one, obviously it's still fantastic after all these years. It's still, you'd say it still definitely holds up, right, Dragon?
Yeah, I concur with that. Yeah.
It's the funny thing is it kind of starts off as a slow burn kind of thing, but then the tension just slowly builds and builds and builds as it goes on. So it's kind of like it's kind of like bridging speaking of like how you're talking about bridging the gap of like science fiction eras. It also kind of like bridged the gap of horror genres as well.
That's true.
Like the classic slow burn with the more modern types of horror. So this movie was ahead of its time in very many ways.
Yep.
So I can't imagine a world of cinema without it. And the fact that it's still going strong to this day proves that there's still some staying power to its name. And maybe and who knows, maybe people will still be talking about it in another 45 years.
Maybe.
It's just that good, folks. And, well, we'll see how it goes from here.
Yes, I want to thank the folks for tuning in with us and listening to us prattle on. We had Code Geass Anime Fan, we had Little Blue, we had Slasher Fred, very broken.
Movie Guy,
and Warp Monarch.
Very briefly.
Yep.
So thank you all for watching. And you think, Dragon, is it time to go, or do you have anything else to say?
No. Let's get out of here, man. Let's send that alien out the airlock and go into hypersleep, man.
All right. Go where no one can hear us scream.
Yes.
And by that we mean off air.
Yeah.
And so, all right, folks. That's the end of tonight's spooky selection. And our spirits grow ever weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks. And be careful where you go in outer space.